abandoned giant baby raised by residents. Though he's still just a baby, but it takes 5 people to mend his nappies. It takes 9 people to finish his socks. When he wants to rest after lunch, a team of sleepers hypnotized him until he falls asleep. Under the village's careful care, the baby grew up quickly. It was time for him to go to school. He went to the classroom with the children. Because of his size, he sat outside. He was the first to answer the teacher's questions. Teachers were always startled by his behavior, but as time goes by, he got used to the way he went to school. When the bell rang, the kids would run to the pool for a swim. The kids would ask their giants to join them. He couldn't wait to get out of his clothes. He wanted to get in the water as much as the other kids. When the children saw the giant, they went back to the shore. Otherwise, they would have been crushed by him. But they didn't hate him. Instead, they used his body for diving. And then it was winter. The giant's foster father dressed up as Father Christmas. He gave the children presents, and the villagers gave him a giant axe. They hoped he'd become a great woodworker. The strong giant swung the axe. Soon he was chopping down trees, and he could stack them in neat sections. Everyone in the village had a cabin because of him. And after that, the giant became a carpenter. He went around cutting wood for people. He could do it in a minute. He could do it in a minute. The town got richer and richer because of him. The giant saw that he was no longer needed here, so he decided to go all the way north. He walked alone in the snow. It was so cold that he drilled wood for a fire. Suddenly, he heard a low moan. He lifted the clouds and found a frozen bison. He struck the bison. Then he pushed it over the fire. In a few moments, the bison, as its body thawed out, miraculously came back to life. He licked the man's chin in admiration. The two of them were instantly attracted to each other. They became inseparable partners, and all the tracks they traveled were lakes. The giant saw a piece of land suitable for human habitation. He cut a piece of land forward. Then he diverted the river to a wider channel. And finally, he made his home here with the bison, and they lived happily ever after. The giant wanted to create a better home for mankind. He wanted the villagers downstream to enjoy the river, so he moved the boulders. He dug the riverbed upstream and downstream. They transported wood through the river, but to make the wood flow in more smoothly, the giants relied on the strength of the bison, and straightened the riverbed by plowing it. And now the logs were no longer blocked, could flow straight to the harbor. The economy of the sea became more and more developed. Some merchants came here to do business. One of the merchants brought with him advanced tools. This steam-powered hacksaw. The giant came to work as he always did. He found a man surrounded by his fellow workers. The giant pressed down on his chainsaw. The trembling voice finally became normal. The businessman wants him out of the way. He was demonstrating new technology. He blew wood chips in his face. The bison on the sidelines looked offended, and the giant was annoyed. He almost hit him with his axe. The merchant saw that he was not to be trifled with, so he climbed up the trunk of a tree and confronted him. They decided to have a competition. Whoever cuts the most wood in a minute wins, and the loser would have to leave. The giant happily agreed. A gun went off. They cut the wood very fast. The workers shouted and cheered for the giant. The train pulls a fallen log. The bison picked up the trees with their feet. No one is allowed to overtake the other, and their speed is the same. The last shot is fired. The race is over. The referee takes the rope and measures the height. Watching the timber go up into the sky, he's got a big head. He doesn't know who's better. The referee announced that the giant's timber was 998 meters high. Then he jumped onto the merchant's woodpile. He measured it carefully and found that he was 1 meter taller than the giant. Everyone was amazed. The giant had really done the town a favor. The merchant was only motivated by profit, but he kept his bet. He left with the bison.